So Golden Guardians in spring, I think it's fair to say, were a solid team. Nothing super special. You know, I think they were pretty middle of the pack.
We were pretty streaky in spring split. Like, we won a bunch of games, then we lost a bunch of games, then we won a bunch of games and lost a bunch of games.
Their split was, I think, just kind of the Golden Guardians norm. I mean, this is a team that has never been above 9-9. They had some good weeks, they had some bad weeks. You know, it was looking for a while like they were gonna maybe go beyond what they had done before.
I mean, last split we had zero expectation, literally zero. No one knew Golden Guardians even.
And then we get into playoffs, and first round they're playing against 100 Thieves. Things kind of start, you know, pretty normal, pretty much as expected, and they take a 2-1 lead.
But Licorice now is in the back line. This is what happens when you give him the resources. Licorice can be the key to help you clutch out a fight, as Golden Guardians now eliminate all 5 off the table, and they'll push into the base.
I think it's when I started picking a lot of more like carry champions, at least for myself. Like all of our wins, I was either on Gwen or Olaf.
And we later hear this story about how, you know, going into game 4, Licorice is talking to the coaches and he's saying, all right, let me have counter pick. I want to play carries.
Our win against 100 Thieves in spring split is where we got a lot of our momentum from for just like running the lower bracket.
I felt like we were ramping up towards the playoff.
The hype is really starting to build, I think, around Golden Guardians and what they can get done. But next up, they have FlyQuest, and I think people are kind of thinking, all right, end of the road, you had a good run, you know, you made a splash in playoffs, but now it's time for the big dogs to play, and you're not one of them.
But the follow-up from Speaker was cool, but it wasn't. Golden Guardians turn around, double kill back on the Stixxay, making a triple. Golden Guardians fighting back. It's so much damage. FlyQuest are done.
No one thought we were gonna make it, and we ended up going all the way. When something like that happens, it feels like a gift or something. Like you're unwrapping a present, you're like, wow, that's so sick. Like, because it's just something I didn't expect at all. So I think it let me just enjoy the experience a lot.
This amazing, amazing moment for Golden Guardians. Easily the biggest moment for that franchise I think that they've ever had.
This split has been a lot less stressful than last split. I think like the more you win, the less stressful it gets. Because I think for the past few years, the conversation always been like, do we have enough wins to make playoffs? And then this year it was like, can we get first? And I was like, oh, that's way better. You know, like that's a way better conversation to be having.
Flash to the center of his turret's protection, throws a barrel to create some distance. Licorice hopping on out though, gets the solo kill onto Hanser.
Going into this split, I do think we gained a fair amount of support and fair amount of expectation on ourselves. Pressure is something that you have to always deal with anyway.
Playoffs is always like really stressful, just like challenging time. Like my sleep is always worse and just like everything kind of like falls apart a little bit.
Golden Guardians still thinking about fighting this. Ignar's over the wall. Rakan's got the stolen away by Contracts on the Viego. And Energy's looking to bury Golden Guardians beneath them. They will earn themselves a 3-1 victory. They will earn themselves a trip to New Jersey. And they will earn themselves a spot at Worlds.
We're like kind of like a momentum team, and we haven't played a stage game for 2 weeks.
Having the bye was actually really challenging.
Before, I think weren't like really scared of anything, and then we just played our champion and like just played our side well. Right now, I think we have too many worries.
I think the loss to energy does hurt Golden Guardians and hurt the way that people are actually thinking about this team, because I think when you have had such a long period of failure followed by a flash in the pan or a short period of success, people are very, very quick, and they're almost just waiting to just say, I knew you were a fraud.
I just felt like we lost our color. So I think as long as we can figure out like how to go back to playing our game, like losing to energy made it, there's no like escape anymore. Like we have one chance.
And they're going into the lower bracket. You almost are set back to step 1, where you have to, again, reprove yourself. You have to be able to run that gauntlet, get back to the finals.
I mean, as far as having our backs against the wall, it worked for us in spring, so like I'm hopeful about it working again. Any team that does well, they have people who want them to lose. It's just kind of like how it works in sports. Like the better you are, the more people want you to lose, and also the more people cheering for you. I think we're really good players. If we can play well as a team, then we can beat anyone.
One interesting thing to hear, there are many interesting things, but one thing I did want to start off on is this whole idea of like huhi saying we lost our team color or like our team identity, which is something I hear a lot of Koreans talk about, is like a team color. In terms of the way GG like to play, how do we feel like their drafts today have reflected that?
I think their drafts have been pretty solid, to be honest. I think that they've won all 3 drafts, but TL in game 1 and 2 just itched out a mid game and kind of snowballed, and GG I think couldn't really stop the snowball.
Yeah.
But I have liked their drafts, and I think that TL going to blue side now shows me that they also want to shake up the draft a bit.
Yeah, Coach Stixxay specifically has talked about how after game 1, they had a lead and threw it. Sure, for the most part of that game, Team Liquid did, but it's one of those moments throughout the entire series where Golden Guardians have a lead, they take a fight or take a fight too quickly, or the setup is not complete, and Team Liquid is just rolling them over. So overall, it's the toughest thing to work on because throughout the short breaks from game to game, you're not really going to be able to talk about what's been worked, like what have you been failing at in team fights. But that's what they need to go for. Kindred first pick for Pyosik.
Yeah, I was writing down Kai'Sa because obviously they left it up. And after 3 games of Viego, we're going to the Kindred. Pyosik's like #1 solo queue, one trick, world skin champ.
I'm curious to see now if Core will go for the Milio. They might go for the Ashe Milio. I think that's the most classic pairing with Kindred on 1-2-3. Usually if you first pick Kindred, you look for the Ashe Milio on 2-3 to kind of round out the comp a bit and give some more scaling presence to the Kindred. Because Kindred already has a very good early game, but she just wants pushing lanes and someone she can play around. And the Ashe Milio is also very good into the Rakan.
Want to see from Golden Guardians if they can hold their mid pick for 5. I think something you really, like Kindred's biggest enemy is just poke. So if you get a good angle where you can get a Xerath, as you mentioned, that's the comp that you're talking about. That actually Cloud9 has played a lot throughout the regular season. We saw, I think, 2 times in which Golden Guardians picked up the Kindred for themselves. I don't think it was the exact same comp, but nice to see that Team Liquid picked up that trio.
And when we talk about the way TL like to play and kind of the strength this team has, we have talked about their ability to get these massive early laning leads. Like, it's not just Summit. We've talked about the forward percentage and the strength of Yeon and Core in the bot lane. Kha'Zix coming out for Golden Guardians. Another thing I actually saw in last night's LCK series, along with the Kai'Sa Rakan in the bot lane.
I think now when you're drafting on the side of GG, you have a lot of scaling. Kha'Zix wants obviously level 6, even level 11. Kai'Sa Rakan wants a few levels and a few items as well under their belt. So I think Gori's job in this draft is kind of just pick something that can pressure early game. I don't necessarily think he needs to be super OP or very big late game presence. I think he just needs to kind of stabilize the early game because TL has Kindred with a very hard winning 2v2 bot lane and a lot of push. So on the side of GG, they need some more early game for sure to balance it.
Yeah, something Cloud9 has shown us with this trio is looking for a level 3 dive bot lane is #1. You can get that with the strong duo that you've talked about. And also, if you get a Mikhail's on the Milio, it's so hard to do what Golden Guardians are trying to do, which is lock down a Kindred, or if you were to find a pick with Rakan, ulti, knock-up, and everything. With a Kindred pick, with a Mikhail's pickup, you can always get that if you're together. So it's just difficult in a fight if you're trying to find that element.
Yeah, and as we see, Golden Guardians targeting a few more things the APA could pick up. We already saw the Triss Ziggs banned out. Now they go with Cassio and Lissandra. And then on TL side, removing the Jax. We know that Licorice is more than willing to blind pick it if they want to do that. R4 to save the counter pick for Vore, R5. Talia coming through, which is something else that we've seen Gori kind of bring out as a comfort pick.
I want a K'Sante here from Golden Guardians. I think they need some front line, something to allow Rakan an angle in the fight. It's a little harder with the Kha'Zix, so K'Sante would do that quite well.
I think something like the Renekton as well could be fine. Just some early game presence. I think in general, GG should definitely save mid for last. They should see the full comp and then counterpick accordingly. I think the K'Sante makes a lot of sense. A good pickup there by GG. And now TL, I think they have a lot of draft options for mid lane. I mean, AP has a kind of special champ pool. I'm not sure from his pool what's the best. Something that's supportive, I think, is the best. Usually people like to play like Kindred Galio and stuff like that, but blind pick, it's very scary.
As he hovers the ASOL.
He's hovering it. I mean, he's played it in Academy / Challenger League, so he is known to be an ASOL player. It's just not a good blind at all. This makes a little bit more sense.
This makes a lot more sense.
And it's a good threat, so it stops a poke pick like Xerath from coming out a little bit. I want to see what Gori ends up going for.
I mean, I guess Summit on the top side here will probably just pick something that's good into K'Sante, like so Fiora, Gnar, etc. I think he'll maybe even pick the Renekton just for some more early pressure. What I'm curious to see now, it's looking like for the Ornn.
Oh, Let's go, Summit.
All right.
Team player.
Reignover coerced Summit into picking the Ornn.
It's happened again.
Nice. Early game pick there from Gori. Sylas. A lot of fighting around mid. I like that because, as I said, they need some pressure in the early game. K'Zix doesn't really provide that. So
True.
you need a mid laner who can fight and skirmish, and he might go 5 deaths, but he will help his bot lane a lot, so respect.
He's got a lot of good ultis here.
He does.
The Ashe ulti, Kindred ulti, Ornn ulti, all great pickups here if he has a good game. So, hey, Golden Guardians have lived and died through their mid jungle, and it feels like this is going to be a good duo to try for it.
Yeah, and I
Yep.
think TL's comp is way more well-rounded than what it was the first 3 games. I think now they have a lot of early game options on bot side. They have better scaling in general because they have Kindred and Ornn, right? So I kind of like this TL draft.
Yeah, for the way that TL like to play, I actually really like this TL draft, where GG, I typically do think of River being someone that's getting involved with his lanes a lot earlier, so the Kha'Zix is an interesting pick. We will see what the casters have to think as we get into game.
Muchas gracias, Emily. And my goodness, that Sylas is probably one of the most highest value Sylas picks I have seen in quite some time. As they noted, multiple ultimates that you can yoink. That's their answer into what Team Liquid have drafted. I know that we were talking while the draft was going on that this core that Team Liquid opened up with was the same core that bodied Golden Guardians in the tiebreaker game that Cloud9 had against them.
It was also Team Liquid was the only team to beat this core when Cloud9 was slamming it. It looked like Exodia. No one can beat this 3-man. Team Liquid actually did it. They did it with the Ziggs, and it was a very close game. They almost did lose that one. And it looks like they took a lot of learnings from that Cloud9 game, being like, yeah, that's a strong comp. We may have beaten it, but we definitely don't want to give that up ever again. And they did round it out with the Ahri and Ornn to make it a purely front-to-back range team fight that wants to stuff people kind of as they come in. And Golden Guardians went for, I thought they were going to go more split-push focus with like a Licorice counterpick. He ends up on K'Zix, and with the Kha'Zix, the game plan here is kill Pyosik immediately.
Yep.
Get the knock-up charm. He's going to get it cleansed by the Milio, but hopefully while he's in the air, you can finish him off with Kha'Zix.
Yeah, pop him before he's able to find the Lamb's Respite, as Team Liquid opening up with a few of their members in vision of Golden Guardians to bully their way into the river, getting some defensive vision down, as now the rest of them should be returning to their posts before minions get to the lanes.
So we'll have to see how this goes. It's a huge changeup from games. Ooh, Yeon in trouble.
Nice sidestep from Yeon, dodges the knockup, but does take some damage on the way out. Huhi also taking some damage, but definitely more in favor of Golden Guardians as they've damaged the marksman, as they're still waiting around and able to get another ward down in the blue buff jungle of River.
Yeah, trying to get a lot of vision early to help Pyosik on his clear. Obviously, the X Factor, as the Analyst Lounge was talking about, he is a world champion. Kindred is his one trick. He has a world champion Kindred skin. And so here they are trying, it feels like, to get early eyes on River to figure out exactly where Pyosik can go to start grabbing those marks and make an impact on the map. The other thing I was going to say quickly was just very different drafts that we have seen so far.
Yeah.
I thought that they were going to maybe run it back, might even say red side, but not the case.
Nice volley from Yeon, able to poke out huhi and Stixxay. Pyosik is actually going to get spotted here by this ward from Golden Guardians.
Well,
So he's looping around for a red buff into straight blue buff jungle invade.
so the thing is, they should know that he is there. And of course, Team Liquid should know that Golden Guardians knows that because they abandoned the bot lane and had huhi roaming up there. You saw Core potentially matching as, woo, nice trade there. And the collapse from the Rakan was enough to force Pyosik out of the jungle, so both teams getting some early vision. The Sylas Ahri matchup is one that at Worlds we saw Zeka abusing the Ahri side of it. It's something that does often win the lane early on. Maybe not quite as hard these days with the nerfs to Ahri that have come in somewhat recently, but at the end of the day, it is a difficult matchup for Sylas in the beginning levels.
Oh, that was so close. Being able to chug the potion at the very last second. That could have been a solo kill from APA. No summoners burned on either side. This is a huge wave crashing into Gori's turret.
Yeah, this is a pretty strong lane phase start for APA. The reason I brought it up is everyone was talking about, oh, the ultimates are so good for Sylas. It's like, yeah, but you picked him into a tough matchup, and you can kind of see that early on coming through. You do have the door and shield, second wind, pots that can heal you quite a bit, but you're going to be perma-shoved under your turret if you're this low. See if you can get a recall off soon and start grabbing some more component items to try and sustain up, because otherwise, with this pressure from mid and the bot lane pressure, this is, Kindred's dream. You heard them talking about. You want to shove all these waves in and just be able to contest camp after camp after camp.
And nicely done from River. Oh, engage in the mid lane. Charm from APA stops Gori as now he gets a huge trade off and is able to sustain himself back up with the Conquer being procced as well. APA is actually the one forced to recall first.
All right, well, there you go. immediately makes me eat my words, gets a very nice trade onto APA there.
CoreJJ might be in trouble, but huhi is pushed back with the kickback of the soccer ball. As looks like River is going to take his leave here in the reset in the River. Pyosik trying to stall the Gori reset as well so that APA can establish lane control first.
Coming bot to top here, looking for the Scuttle Crab. Should already be at 1 mark, given that you got the bottom one as well. This one, obviously, after you get your first one, it's no longer the free Scuttle Crab, but just farming up again here. Top side is probably feels like the first time where we won't have much conversation to go on about it. It's Ornn versus Kai'Sa, both guys playing for the team here, as Kai'Sa can do some interesting things with the Kindred ultimate, knock people out of it. Either it's the Q3, the W, the ult. You have 3 ways of displacing people. So if someone's ever at the fringe of it, the displacement isn't the biggest. It's not like the Gragas ultimate, but you do have tools for Licorice in the mid to late game to try and separate people out. And if people are low in the Kindred ultimate, he ults them over a wall. It feels very easy to get those kills.
Yeah, but for the most part, it does seem nice for Team Liquid that there's not many ways for Golden Guardians to punt them out of the Lamb's Respite, so they can all at least stack on top of each other. But stacking on top of each other means it's very easy for huhi to look for a re-engage as well. So it's all about good timing from Team Liquid, understanding when cooldowns are being used and baiting them out before committing to important ultimates. And so far, it has been a very tame early game. Some early invades were thwarted by Golden Guardians, as now topside Summit could be in trouble. Nice knockup Q3, guaranteeing the knockup. River's gonna flash as well. Summit is now level
flash
6.
for 6.
Does he have enough damage to turn this one around? Huge burst, one more knockup with the balance breath, one more auto attack, it's not enough! River and Licorice pick up first blood.
Summit almost with the Giga Brain play, flashing for 6. I thought at first it was a mistake, just trying to survive slightly longer, but he gets the ultimate, almost blows up River. Does force his flash out there, and during that time, Team Liquid are going to start getting pressure down the bot side. Pyosik's going to grab this up, and, you know, at the end of the day, it is a first kill for Licorice, but Summit very happy to trade out a lot of flashes on the top side of the map.
Yeah, 3 summoner spells for his 2 so far, and it's a lot of pressure being put towards a tank-on-tank matchup, which is something that we normally don't really think about investing their while into. Probably understandable if River gets that first blood and an injection of gold to snowball this Kha'Zix ahead, but we're going to take a look back at the replay to see how he made this happen.
Yeah, hops the wall here, and that means you will not have it back up for this place. That's why he's going to end up earning the flash while chasing him down here. And there you go, Flash gets the Q onto the minion there for that, and then that hopefully was him lining up also the double ultimate, because if they're chasing you down after you flash like that, it can be potential to get both knockups, and maybe if he got both knockups, it would have delayed long enough for him to get that kill there. Nice attempt by Summit, doesn't end up going his way. The thing also about junglers who are carries ganking top early on, I do actually like doing that if you have nowhere else that you need to be on the map, as we see Licorice having some fun with Summit.
All out on the Summit, and he doesn't have flash. One more Q. Does he land the knockup and a couple of auto attacks? And there is the solo bolo as Licorice starts propelling himself forward in the lane.
Now that is a huge one. To get the second kill after the TP was committed by Summit to get back up to the top side there means that Licorice gets the influx of gold from the kill, plus the denial of minions, plus what will be some turret plates going in his pocket. And suddenly, as we were talking about the top lane matchup not being super important, I was gonna say, as we see a flash force out of Yeon,
dodging the knockup from huhi, as now he gets a flash out of huhi as well. Pyosik on the chase, looming around with APA, looking for a dive. huhi has no tools available to really stop this one. He would have to find a grand entrance, but he is isolated away from Stixxay, and it looks like they're gonna just pick up the easy kill. Pyosik dodging away from the grand entrance as well. Gori is waiting, has level 7. Can he grab an ultimate to make something happen here with Stixxay under the tower? The flash from APA, waiting out Stixxay's move before committing to charm. Stixxay being able to dodge it out. No killer instinct available yet because he's still level 5. Gori forcing the rest of Team Liquid as he finds a connect onto CoreJJ for the damage, but Team Liquid around the corner, forcing Gori to back off.
nice attempt out of APA there. I really like the aggressive flash charm, but just ended up not landing it. They had a massive wave stacked up there. You want to get more than just a single kill for that investment of resources, just couldn't land it. And Gori coming up big with the Kindred steal made sure that you couldn't do an extended dive, because then you'd end up trapped into the turret. During this though, River's up grabbing that, so blow for blow traded across the map here. Here you see the initial attempt just so easy with Yeon having the ultimate. Goes ahead and drops that. CoreJJ also started off with an auto attack to make sure that the aggro was not actually on Yeon. And then because they have this massive wave and Stixxay is walking forward, they think, okay, we gotta punish this guy. And so APA goes for the flash ult in, and then tried to hold the charm until after Stixxay's flash, but just ended up missing it, and then the team ends up a little split here and a couple of flashes forced out, but no trade kill, so not too bad for Team Liquid. They get that kill, but now they're in some trouble again top.
Okay, Summon has called the Forge God, but Licorice canceling out the knockup with his W. He's able to get away before Pyosik was in range to punish.
I got to adjust, man. The first couple games wasn't the craziest early phases. Here, very aggressive early game out of both teams right now.
And it's a return to what we saw out of Team Liquid throughout the entire summer split. It was usually them in the driver's seat, forcing a lot of plays and really trying to make the enemy team crumble with the foundations that they want to set up. But so far, it's still Golden Guardians finding themselves ahead.
Golden Guardians, third time in a row actually with a early game lead. And even in game one, although they start with a lead, they did end up grabbing one away, putting the pressure onto Team Liquid here. Finally might have a moment to talk about the top point, which is that you can feast your carry junglers on tanks easily top because they have such good setup. And Kai'Sa is a bit of a unique tank situation because he can function as a carry with his all-out and actually get those solo kills when you get massively ahead. And that's what Licorice has been able to do here, grab a couple of solo kills and really get the better of Summit.
Really spiking that first item faster than normal. It means that not necessarily for the second dragon fight, but maybe for that Rift Herald, when you're playing towards Licorice's side of the map, it's going to be a lot more difficult for Team Liquid to really contest Golden Guardians at that objective.
Well, it's really good to have that going on your top side, given that with this Exodia composition, you pretty much always lose your bot half the map. Ahri as well, giving some prio in mid lane with the Ashe and Milio bot side, and Kindred means that it's really, really hard to have any sort of pressure down the bot side of the map, and you can see just littered with wards for TL as well as the potential setup for a very quick second dragon if they can get it.
Oh wait, Licorice is under the tower. This is, okay, thankfully he was not taking any turret aggro here for Golden Guardians. Things getting a little dicey on the top side as River just gonna make sure he is hovering on the bottom side of the map to escort that wave as Pyosik, I mean, that's a very low Kai'Sa. Licorice has flash and can still move around with some of his abilities. Pyosik would have to find a lot of burst damage, but 3 levels down, he has Lem's Respite, so he can look for an outplay under the tower, and he's forced to use the ultimate early, and Licorice might just make him regret this decision on a couple more auto attacks as he flashes the last auto, but he cannot secure the kill as Licorice outplays him.
Licorice with the huge absorption of pressure out of Pyosik gets the flash ultimate burn. Going in, waiting until the last possible second, forces the Kindred ultimate out, and then staying close enough that forces Pyosik to flash afterwards if you do not want to die. During this time, because Pyosik shows topside, this is an alleviation of that pressure we were hyping up in the bot side and allows Golden Guardians to stop the dragon stacking of this composition. It's one of the things it's supposed to do really well, so it's massive for Golden Guardians to stop that immediately.
Starting to see some of the desperation come out of Team Liquid members here. You could feel that the pressure maybe just for Team Liquid was saying, hey, we really need to get Licorice down here, and this is as easy as a kill as you can make it, but the fact that Licorice turns around is awesome for Golden Guardians.
Yeah, that W out by Licorice. I think you might have seen Pyosik on the ward right before then, might have gone in otherwise, and then here, committing onto Pyosik with his flash, knowing that he had to force this ultimate out so he could stay alive underneath the turret, otherwise he just gets autoed down from range, and then they are so strong, able to force Pyosik back as well. Deny that Mark from coming through, denies the kills, give the dragon over. Such a massive play.
And now Summit might be in trouble. He still has flash, but he gets interrupted, so he cannot use the call of the Forge God. Easy pickings here for River and Licorice, as the Rift Herald is also going to chime in with a little bit of damage as they barrel down the minions, and that is so much gold going into the pockets of Licorice.
Man, they keep coming out of these replays hot with Summit getting dropped again, 0-3. Licorice, 100% kill participation, getting the better of him this time around the matchup. This might be the last time you see Summit on tanks in this series. I don't know if he'll go back to it in a game 5 if this keeps going this way, because right now, Golden Guardians are in a prime position to force us into a game 5 on the verge of a reverse sweep. Maybe, I know it's only 1,500 gold. I know Team Liquid have Exodia, but we have not actually seen them pilot this combination of champions before, and it's a question of how much of this was C9 and how much is it these 3 champions?
Right. As Gori takes a huge chunk out of APA's health bar, there's still no neutral objective to play for on the bottom side of the Rift Herald is still nowhere near spawning quite yet, but the mid prio gained from Gori allows River to slink on into the bottom side of the jungle. As CoreJJ and Yeon now have to be careful. If they extend too far forward, that Void Bug might just sink his claws into their backs.
You can see, there they go. Get the flash out.
Yeon kites him right on back, but that is a flash gained out of CoreJJ. It's gonna make things a lot easier for Golden Guardians to set up this dive as River is waiting patiently to make his move.
Yeah, Licorice has TP. They're gonna wrap around behind, drop a ward down, set this up.
Delsin leaps right onto CoreJJ. Yeon already firing the arrow to get the stun, but that is just easy picking. So much burst coming between Stixxay and River to take out Yeon.
And again, it's because of Team Liquid's lack of correct map play. You had APA having to take the reset there as we see a charm.
Huge charm from APA, but River's able to leap on out. Gori still has flash to play with and has the Spirit Rush taken from APA as APA is looking to flash, finds River on the backside, and now huhi has to get out with the grand entrance. Stixxay forced to flash. APA finds the charm, the Orb Deception. APA steps up when the team needed him most to save the momentum.
Oh boy, felt like Golden Guardians was about to slam the door shut in this game, but that slight overextension gives Team Liquid a breath of life with APA's Ahri. Going back to start that play, APA had taken a reset. Pyosik was showing mid. That made it was an easy dive. And the bot side of the map, which is supposed to be this power point, is coming undone. And it felt like everything was going wrong for Team Liquid. And this gives them a little bit of wiggle room maybe to stay alive in this game after a nice dive out of Golden Guardians. Here, just lands that charm over the wall, blows River up low enough that they can start going for resets. And because Gori has the Ahri ultimate, there's no worry about like, oh, is it the Kindred ultimate that's going to keep someone alive? Just such an aggressive flash in there. This is one of the things that people love to see about APA. The mindset that he has in looking for the plays. Did the same thing under the turret. Does it always work out? No, but he is always looking for opportunities for his team to come back into the game.
You know, it's once again him and Pyosik on the same page, being able to sidestep the Gori engage, and both of them instantly knowing without having, I mean, we would have to see a comms replay to know for sure, but I can imagine it's like, okay, they both see 3 low HP targets, they have resets available, as now they're on the Rift Herald.
Yeah, teleport coming in here for Licorice on the flip side of the fight. We'll see if he can isolate someone.
Licorice has flash and he has all out, but Team Liquid are trying to pincer on Licorice so that they can collapse before the rest of Golden Guardians make their move here. Summit calling the Forge God, looking for the knockup. Gori has his own, and he cannot, oh no, he gets a multiple man knockup here, and Golden Guardians is able to burst out Pyosik before he's able to use the ultimate. Summit is still pressing forward on the engage. They're looking for more. APA has the resets with the Spirit Rush. Finds 1, finds 2! Both Stixxay and Licorice fall in the fight. And the Rift Herald still for the taking, but still dangerous for Team Liquid to look at.
Gori saved that fight from being an absolute wash. Like you said, it looked like his stolen Ornn ultimate was not going to come through. He did get that off. Still ends up a 2-for-1 in favor of Team Liquid. But it did allow them to blow Pyosik up at the start of this fight. Licorice with the flank gets spotted out here by CoreJJ. This is a great call by Team Liquid to just full send collapse on top of him, force the side of Golden Guardians to funnel into this choke point. And this is where it looks like the juiciest ultimate you've ever seen here. And because he's knocked up, you think he might not get it off, but the last possible second headbutt back around allows them to blow up Pyosik and stop Team Liquid from executing this composition 100% properly. But the backside of this is APA is still pretty fed. He's got 2 kills, and he is another consistent member of damage that can chase down multiple members of the enemy team there.
Huge fight for Team Liquid, as now with the momentum and the ability to reset right off of the fight, have the pressure to look for the 3rd dragon of the game. Now, as you pointed out earlier, because Golden Guardians were able to sneak up the 2nd one off of Pyosik's play on the top side, they're not at soul point. Golden Guardians still ahead with that 2,000 gold lead, as it looks like APA. Did he yoink that Gromp?
Yeah, sad B dab. That's a yoinked Gromp for sure. So we see APA, man, he is the one stepping up, and a team with 2 MVPs, 2 world champions, a rookie of the split. This substitute mid laner is the one who is doing the heavy lifting and trying to stop this series from going to a game 5.
3-0-1 on the Ahri. He's the only one with a bounty on his head. But so far, he's been a little too slippery for the members of Golden Guardians to be able to pick off, and he's chosen his moments well, never showing until Golden Guardians make the first engage, and being able to punish is now. There's no objectives for them to fight for, as both teams are jockeying for mid control, waiting to see if they can push their vision line into the jungle.
Yeah, we see River once again trying to feast on top of Summit, making his way down there. Licorice has his ultimate, might be able to flip Summit in, but too many members of Team Liquid around. They know Pyosik was hovering on the bot side of the map, going to call that play off. I think for me, the thing that I'm curious about for this game is if Team Liquid can actually execute this composition in the standoff situations around neutral objectives, like that Rift Herald fight we just saw there. They didn't quite have it in time. You know, they still won that fight, but they weren't able to do the most abusive things that this comp can do, where you just can't kill the Kindred. So I want to see if they're able to pull that off.
Uh-oh, it looks like someone might be in trouble. The flash, they line the knockup, and bingo! Golden Guardians, even with the Rift Herald charge as well, are going to get so much off of this play.
Stuck around on the bot side there. You see River making the move on top of him. And an interesting angle by Licorice. I think most of the time people are worried about getting ulted over the wall into River, but it's actually towards the Krugs where you had River coming over the wall.
This Rift Arrow will get one more charge as well, as APA is forced to answer, to make a response, to make sure that there's no more turrets being felled by the side of Golden Guardians. Charge lands true. Now huhi might be in trouble, but he has the grand entrance to get out over the wall. Back to the mid lane, Prio.
Grand entrance. What a lie.
It's a grand exit.
Grand retreat.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, he's able to get out there and just be annoying, trying to get this vision control down. It's one of the things that does make this composition slightly harder to play for the side of Team Liquid is if you don't have Summon around, you're very squishy. It is a composition where if you don't have vision control, face checking can be a little difficult. You do have a lot of great tools with the Ashe volley and the Hawk shot to try and scout out vision, but you don't have anyone who's very happy walking forward. And that's one of the things that the comp is supposed to do is, well, the Kindred still walks forward because if you do CC him, he should get cleansed out of that. And if you can do that and then get your Kindred ult off in time, you've absorbed their engage. But it's very high execution. And thus far, we haven't seen that done. It's coming up in 20 minutes, a couple of situations where maybe they could have done it. But 3,000 gold lead in Golden Guardian's pocket means that they're not just going to have to execute this, but they're going to have to do it from the back foot.
Yeah, because it's usually a lot easier when you can step up with the range advantage, but the fact that you have to expose yourselves vulnerably, and then Golden Guardians have even more reason to want and punish you without a proper front line if someone is not there, makes things quite difficult for Team Liquid. But they find a moment to take out this tier 1 turret in the mid lane. It's going to give them a little bit more breathing room in terms of establishing vision control, as the next dragon is spawning in under 2 minutes.
Yeah, the interesting thing here is that Golden Guardians have a bit of a 1-3-1 comp when you have the Sylas able to split in Kai'Sa, who's this fed 3-1-1, able to put a lot of pressure down the 1v1 as well. But for Team Liquid side, the comp is those three mainly, of the Kindred, Ashe, and Milio. So they're mostly pretty happy to sit mid, and as long as they're not too far behind, it's an okay position. The problem is, if they can't get anything done and your side lanes are losing, you can potentially win through side lane pressure. So Golden Guardians do feel like they're in a pretty good spot. The only problem is that the Sylas is not particularly fed, but that's why they're matching him up actually against the Ornn and having the Kai'Sa matched against the Ahri.
APA might have to be careful about overextending on this one. River has been constantly lurking in the shadows in this bottom jungle quadrant. The turret is low as well, and if Licorice can escort this minion wave, but it looks like the minion wave will fall, as APA has just got to be careful, as they have not seen River, but if they have an idea, Team Liquid have the opportunity to look for a collapse, but huhi and Stixxay also marking them to make sure that their jungler doesn't get caught out.
Yeah, I just love the way River is playing this, hovering between bot and mid, shadowing, making sure there's so much pressure, knowing he's on top of a pink ward unseen. Team Liquid has to know he's somewhere around there, given that Summit's messing around the topside jungle, that he'll be hovering around the Licorice side of the map, but you just still don't want to face check him, so there's no way to really force him out of the fog of war very easily.
Hawk shot doesn't find River yet, as they spot him crossing into the mid lane. So APA can seemingly walk up. Still got to be careful. Licorice does quite a bit of damage. He was snowballed for a reason, as now APA low on mana, half at HP. This might just be Licorice's window to take the second tier turret.
Yeah, Licorice gets another 600 gold slammed into his back pocket. He is absurdly rich at this point in the game, and the problem with APA is you have to spend so much money wave clearing, or mana wave clearing, that you end up unable to really fight the Kai'Sa, who is so beefy that you don't actually melt through him. Even with the high damage build that he's going, trying to get his death cap done, which he just finished off, on top of having the entries, he's still 2,000 gold behind the tank.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to melt through him.
And Licorice just finished his third item on top of it with that stone plate. So even if he goes in super deep into the back line, he'll be able to get a massive shield momentarily off these team fights. huhi's not going to get a chance to get his resawed off. He's forced back into the jungle quadrant. Team Liquid just constantly dancing in this mid lane, waiting for Golden Guardians to step up, because as you pointed out before, they don't really have the means to be able to force these fights on their own terms.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think Team Liquid are getting a little frustrated as they have to spend so much time dealing with the side lanes that they're going to start forcing around Baron probably, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a burger flip sometime soon, just knowing that if they just sit in the 1-3-1, it will favor Golden Guardians.
And I love how River, even though this is a hold up, Licorice and River are spotted, and Pyosik is going to go forward. The Ashe arrow finds Licorice. He's still very tanky, and he tanks it on up, and huhi might have been caught out, forced to use the quickness just for the extra movement speed. Heal as well being used. as Golden Guardians might look to re-engage.
That's still the ultimate out of huhi, who is the main engage tool. They can still steal Summit's ultimate, but this is forcing Team Liquid onto the Baron. We talked about how they wanted to do this. If you can start it by burning the Rakan ultimate, that's an even better situation.
Stixxay still has sums for himself. Yeon has sums as well. Licorice trying to reposition for a flank angle. All Out is available. 4,000 HP on the Baron. Gori steps up and grabs Summit's ulti. 2,000 HP! Steals the Baron! And Golden Guardians, whether they want to fight this one or not, they got the objective that they wanted. And now APA sees red, tries to find at least one re-engage, one pick off on the Stixxay. He's already used both of his summoner spells. Trying to look for it, but just gets punished as Golden Guardians make their retreat. Pyosik still on the chase, but he cannot find any members.
The frustration is setting in for Team Liquid. Summit couldn't get his ultimate off. He was knocked up. River gets the ultimate. He gets out as we see them trying to get something left on the tail end of the play. Stixxay was so low. Yeon flashed in to try and get APA the reset. Now they want to get the dragon, but they have so few tools available. I don't think there's any way they can realistically do this.
And Gori's going to look for a flank. They know they have the numbers advantage as well. River lurking in the river. They look for the re-engage onto Licorice, but this could be the punish here. River takes a huge chunk out of Core, forcing him to flash. Summon is isolated. Gori with the chase. The knockup is there. Gori picks up the kill, and that dragon belongs to Golden Guardians.
It was touch and go there for a second for Golden Guardians, but after grabbing the Baron, the gold lead has slingshotted up to 6,000 gold lead. They're able to grab their second dragon of the game as well. Team Liquid not able to execute around that Baron. I don't hate the call for the flip. You know, we saw how much they were struggling in the 1-3-1 with huhi's ultimate down. It felt like that was the time to try and make that play happen, but just couldn't do it.
And you can see Pyosik is still on the chase. He knows that Stixxay doesn't have sums. Killer Instinct is not available. It's a nice pick from Team Liquid, but that pick alone is not going to turn around this game.
Not going to turn the game around, but might give them a foothold back in. This comp does scale very, very well. We can see here, the idea, I think, is good. I think you risk it. I think you can see that thing just explodes. They both try and get that down. River gets it, gets out, and then here, the Ornn ultimate to knock up during his Ornn ultimate. We're not done yet.
Oh, Pyosik pops the Lamb's Respite, but he's isolated. Yeon and CoreJJ are there, but he's charmed up by huhi. He's got no way out. Core and Yeon still trying to find a way to refight with Summit. But off the TP, Golden Guardians disengage, and there's nothing that Team Liquid can find.
Just going a bridge too far there with the pickoff on Stixxay. They want more. They want more marks for Kindred. I think he was also trying to steal away the red buff, catch someone in rotation, but Golden Guardians got there faster, found that kill. Now with the Baron buff going to start pushing down mid lane.
Just going back to what you said, Mark, the frustrations are clearly setting in for Team Liquid, finding themselves far more aggressive than they were in the first 15 minutes of the game as the charm connects on to huhi, but he just grand entrances forward because he knows he has Gori in his back pocket for the punish. Nice Milio engage though. Team Liquid able to save AP as they take out huhi. Stixxay cannot find the re-engage as well. Golden Guardians lose huhi out in the process, but the Baron buff is still on their side, so they can continue pushing on the top side.
They can continue pushing. The gold lead swells to 7K, but APA is trying to play some hero ball here. Somehow got out alive from that situation. Doesn't do enough to really get the game back in their favor, but still some impressive plays out of the rookie.
Oh, does Gori get caught out here? Pyosik, an auto attack. Oh! Gori escapes.
Gori gets out with the Baron empowered recall. Very lucky there, almost gets blown up by Pyosik. If that auto comes in a little bit faster, interrupts the recall. I think it's the last quarter second or last half second is uninterruptible on resets. So despite taking that little brief blip of damage, doesn't cancel the recall there. And now Team Liquid, it's somewhat reminiscent to me of the previous game where Golden Guardian slowly grows a bigger and bigger lead, but the fights are still touch and go every step of the way. APA there, the fact that he was able to get that kill is pretty impressive. He is now closing in his third item. It is unfortunate that Yeon is not that fed. I think one of the key aspects of this composition is Berserker on Ashe. And a lot of people have noted that not many people are Berserker on Ashe.
No one can quite space glide like Berserker on that champion, as Team Liquid now find themselves being forced out of the jungle quadrant. Golden Guardians routing their way as they look for Yeon. The arrow stuns huhi, but Stixxay follows up with the killer instinct, taking out the marksman of Team Liquid. And this turret should fall as well. Golden Guardians just making short work of these objectives on Team Liquid's turf.
Nice job finding Yeon, isolating the turret there. Members of Team Liquid were trying to stealth around to the left side, but that left Yeon alone under the turret. Have the ult to stuff huhi's engaged, but still have plasma stacks on him. And that's what Kai'Sa does. Not even at 3 items yet.
8,000 gold lead in favor of Golden Guardians here. as you called it out before, very reminiscent of what Game 3 looks like, but Golden Guardians, after Games 1 and 2, they were able to get the proper coaching, the proper talking they needed to. It's like, hey guys, we need to simply play better. We need to calm down around certain objectives and make sure that we are not over-committing, over-exhausting our resources here.
It's impressive, the mental toughness that it takes, because if you remember to Game 2, is they had a lead, 19 minutes, game's over 23, lost in their favor, where you saw multiple plays that felt like frustration boiling up. And to come back in Game 3, pretty hard fought one, but they win that one. And then here again to potentially force us into a Game 5, looking for the reverse sweep to keep their dreams alive, to make it to finals weekend here, the last day of play in this studio for the summer.
And it's not easy to do it from the vantage point that they have done it since Game 3. Match point for Team Liquid as a nice pick onto huhi. Team Liquid gonna be happy about that one. Baron is coming up in 30 seconds, the next Dragon in 45.
Well, at the very least, this will give them the inside track on whatever objective they choose. Pyosik has to be a little careful here, but with his ultimate up, no CC from the Kindred, or excuse me, the Kha'Zix, there's no threat of getting fully 100 to 0 as long as you have a functioning R key.
Someone has to deal with Licorice on the side. I take that back, my bad. Summit is there holding down the fort. Pyosik trying to route off Gori. He's cut off from River here. Dodging out on the up-stun, up-duct. Takes the Ahri ulti, so he's trying to spirit rush himself away. APA looking for the charm, and it's out of range as Gori flashes in time.
Waste the time of the 4 Team Liquid members as Baron spawned there. This gives time for huhi to res, get back onto the map, and Licorice gets some time alone on that bot turret. Got down to half HP already. APA in trouble.
Stixxay looking for the kill, and that's the big shutdown! He was the only one left with the bounty, but Stixxay finds him! And now the rest of Team Liquid might just be on the back foot here. Quickness into the knockup. That's a double for Stixxay as he finds it with the Void Seeker. 2 members gone. Golden Guardians can start looking at the Baron.
Golden Guardians salvaged that play after huhi got picked off, able to waste a ton of time, get 2 kills actually back in their favor, and then be able to fall back onto this Baron, grabbing their second one of the game here. 30 minutes in, about to go above a 10k gold lead. Team Liquid are doing what they can, grabbing the Dragon to get themselves to Soul Point and stop Golden Guardians from stacking that, but now with the 10k gold deficit, it does feel like there's very little for them to do.
Golden Guardians now in prime position to close out this game, to put themselves at match point as well, to be on the cuspice of a reverse sweep. The fact that they showed strong mental resilience since the end of Game 2, remarkable, but also a test of just how experienced all 5 players of this roster are. They want to return to finals. They want a chance to be able to take on and make up for the losses against Energy and Cloud9.
Still feels like a roster with a lot to prove, despite the success in Spring Split, showing that it wasn't a fluke, wasn't a flash in the pan. Of course, their season will not end even if they do lose this game somehow. There is still the international best of 5 that they will play versus Europe's 4th seed. The loser of this series will partake in that. But I think that that's not really what the focus is, of course. They want to show that they deserve to be back in finals weekend. They got a taste for it last split. And a lot of these guys are veterans. You know, it's actually one of the oldest rosters in the LCS, this Golden Guardian side. So the fact that they had the, like you said, mental resilience to bounce back is not too much of a surprise when you look at how storied so many of these players are. Most of them having won multiple domestic titles.
Looks like Gori was firing out an arrow he stole from Yeon. APA is hit in the face. Licorice pounding through the mid lane. Knock up on the Licorice, but he's still very tanky. The all out. He's able to escape. And Team Liquid want to press the chase, but all they get is the flash.
Not too bad, though, getting the flash ult out of the K'Sante for basically nothing of their own. They did not Ashe arrow him afterwards or use an Ornn ult to overchase in that sequence. I think they're happy to just try and hold on to their base while this Baron buff is going down.
Gori grabs the Call of the Forge God. Parts the sea of Team Liquid.
Nice field goal there, and still a minute left on this Baron, so it'll be very difficult for Team Liquid to fully defend this base, but they're doing a good job of wasting the time from Golden Guardians and making sure that they will struggle to crack an inhibitor. You see the TP back from Licorice, so want to keep that pressure up and make the most of the last 2 minion waves they have before this time's out.
The Red Bull Baron buff expiring in about 40 seconds here. Team Liquid still on the back foot, trying to withstand the siege of Golden Guardians. This mid lane turret almost about to fall. Licorice trying to herald these minions and let that empowered cannon minion pound at the turret. They're able to clear it away, and Team Liquid so far doing everything they can to hold on to this game.
There's one thing that the Golden Guardians comp has a surprising amount of, given their composition. Poke, with both the Kai'Sa and Kha'Zix being able to spam away and try and chunk people down during this base defense.
Between the Void Seekers, actually both Void abilities, Void Spikes as well. A little bit of Void synergy as Licorice finds the inhibitor turret. Stixxay with the kill instinct! APA is deleted! That's the man advantage for Golden Guardians, and it might just be enough to make some serious damage in this base.
APA was the most fed member of Team Liquid. They blow him up using the stolen Ashe ultimate. Now they're going to try and end the game.
Huhi with the quickness, looking for the grand entrance, but he's punted away by CoreJJ. Bottom inhibitor falls, middle inhibitor is next. Golden Guardians seeing if they want to jockey for another re-engage or just guarantee the inhibitor being felled here. Void Seeker finds its mark as Licorice presses on forward, buys space. Huge knocker from Summit. Huhi re-engage. Can they look for the call? Gorge gone onto multiple members here. It's all up to Yeon and Pyosik to find the damage here. Lens Respite buys the second win for Summit. But the rest of Golden Guardians do not go down, but they do not get the inhibitor on the back half.
They're able to protect the inhibitor. Licorice sticking around, but should fall back there. And you can see Golden Guardians still have to work pretty hard, even with the APA down. People getting low, but did not really lose that many sums at the tail end of that. It's only a River with his flash down. They'll be able to return back to mid lane with that pressure on the bot side, get control of the bot half of the map, grab that dragon on respawn, then just keep Team Liquid ordered up in their base. It does feel very difficult for Team Liquid to find a way back in this game, given the fact that unlike the previous compositions where they had a lot of flanking dive potential to insta-give someone, this team is really about kiting back and trying to melt frontline, and from behind, the tanky K'Sante can just choose not to ult and stay very, very hard to kill while having a fair amount of burst threat available through the Kai'Sa and Sylas.
Yeah, and it's just so tough because the way that Pyosik and Yeon have built this game, it's not seemingly the best for shredding a giant HP armor stacking monster like Licorice is. Not a lot of armor shred and penetration other than the Black Cleaver for Pyosik, but Yeon is still working on a Last Whisper at some point. And it's just going to be about how long they can hold this range advantage before Golden Guardians just slowly swallows them up.
And I like what Golden Guardians is doing here. I thought they were going to go bot side and control that dragon to stop soul point for TL, but they're actually baiting him and saying, TL, if you want that soul point, go for it. We'll just end the game. You have multiple members of Golden Guardians actually focusing on the top side of the map, and it's making it awkward for Team Liquid to commit the resources to the dragon necessary to take it, because Licorice can defend that by himself.
And being caught in this position leaves them to get triple inhibitors, so CoreJJ and Yeon are forced to retreat, help APA with the defense. As the Void Seekers are starting to really hurt. A Death Cap was purchased by Stixxay on the back half. Two Void Seekers, almost 2/3 of his HP gone.
Yeah, minion blocks the last one there. We'll see if they find an engage. Team Liquid had enough of this flip push.
Looking, finds Huhi on the back half. Gori pops the Lamb's Respite so Huhi can stay alive here. Nice knock up from Licorice. The rest of Team Liquid, they want to press forward, but they don't have any other means of engage other than APA stepping up with a Spirit Rush and looking for a charm. But Licorice can just dance right in front of them. Baron is about to spawn, and Golden Guardians need to reset.
Yeah, that's all the engage tools down there. Ahri ult, Ashe ult, and Ornn ult all burned right before the Baron spawn, so it's going to be very hard for them to contest. On the side of Golden Guardians, they didn't burn any ultimates. They just walked on out of there as only the Gori stolen ultimate on Kindred, but at level 16, that's already back up.
6,000 HP. This is playable for Team Liquid. 4,000. Lamb's Respite is still available for Pyosik.
Oh, Yeon's so dead.
Huhi looking for Yeon, and the Lamb's Respite is popped in time, but can Yeon reposition himself? He's brought over the wall by Licorice, and Gori finds the killing blow. The rest of Team Liquid are forced to scatter. They're on the run, but Golden Guardians have no mercy for them. They will leave no stragglers, no survivors left. They will take everything from Team Liquid as they take the Baron. They don't even need it. They're just going to rush into the base and send us to Game 5.
Cue up the Silver Scrapes, Raafaa. We're going to Game 5. A potential reverse sweep on the horizon for Golden Guardians. It was a very, very hard-fought first two games, and here they have the complete momentum in the series, a 14,000 gold lead that they closed out Game 4 with.
For Golden Guardians, the faces of them just look like it's another day in the office, keeping their composure, making sure not to lose complacency here. But for Team Liquid, you're starting to see a lot of the desperation starting to settle in. APA doing his best to cheer up Pyosik and make sure that everyone is focused up. But now blowing a 2-game lead like that has got to settle in. And now it's going to be up to Team Liquid to see if they don't let the nerves bite them here, or will it be Golden Guardians taking home this series?
Here's that last fight one more time. Just all the flanks coming in. Gori over the wall. No ultimates really available for Team Liquid. It's a nice ult by Pyosik. I thought there was going to be an insta-give on Yeon, but they keep him alive. But there's just no other tools afterwards to keep him alive, given that they already used, like I said, all their ultimates. And it's just an easy chase down from that kind of lead that they had. Team Liquid do a good job of making them work for it generally in these games. You know, it's still a 32-ish minute game that this ended up being, but from the gold leads that Golden Guardians are getting consistently in these early games, I feel like Team Liquid have to find some sort of answer, because they went to blue side for the first time this series. They tried to slam this composition down. I did not see the level of execution that we're used to seeing when you have the Ashe, Kindred, Milio.
Yeah, it did not seem like the Exodia comp that Golden Guardians got, beaten down with by Cloud9, and now that serves as a huge barrier buffer for them as we are heading into Game 5. As you said, Mark, cue up the Silver Scrapes, get the B-woo-woos out in the chat as we get ready for Game 5.